Today I wanted to talk about some brand new releases that are coming out in June. I do have a lot of new releases on this list. I'm not sure how many, we will see by the end. We've got all kinds of genres here, so I'm quite keen to get started. I just wanted to let you know that I try to do these videos every single month. I think I skipped last month, but that's the first month that I've skipped in ages because I was just too busy at work. But I really love sharing these new releases videos with you guys, mainly because it hypes me up for some new releases as well. And it brings new books to everyone's attention, which is always the goal. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's talk about some books which are releasing in June, starting with the 4th of June. So these books are already out by the time you're watching this video. I've had to move the camera slightly because it was hurting my eyes. I don't know if anyone else with blue eyes gets really sensitive eyes when they're looking straight at a window, but I definitely do. Here we are. I'm no longer squinting. The first book I want to talk about is Two Sides to Every Murder. This one is a YA thriller. It says here that it's about two teens who return to the site of a famous murder case that sealed their fates. Olivia was born during the infamous Camp Lost Lake murders. 17 years later, her life is looking pretty perfect until she discovers the man she calls dad is not her biological father. I'm not going to read the rest of the synopsis, but this sounds very mysterious. I really like a good YA thriller, so that's why this one is on this list. Next, we have Shelterwood. This one is historical fiction with a little bit of mystery thrown in there. It says here that it's a sweeping novel inspired by the untold history of women pioneers who fought to protect children caught in the storm of land barons hungry for power and oil wealth. It's always the rich people, always. Just from a quick scroll through, it says that it's set in Oklahoma in two timelines, 1909 and 1990. It also says that the main character's father doesn't have good intentions towards two Indigenous American girls who are living with them. It also says that it's super emotional. I've not heard many people talk about this one, but I'm very keen to give it a go if it's any good. The rating is 4.11, so that's really promising. Next, we have another mystery thriller debut. This one is called Such a Bad Influence. Again, the rating on this is already quite high, which is brilliant. The tagline says this is a razor-sharp debut about what happens when one of the first child stars of the social media age goes up and goes missing. I really enjoy reading about famous people and influencers, whether that's about how they're going missing or just generally about their lives. And this one follows a young girl who is a YouTuber, I think. So I'm very interested in this one. I think it'll be really interesting. This next one is actually a non-fiction, and that is called I Shouldn't Be Telling You This, but I'm Going to Anyway. This is about Chelsea Devantes, who I haven't actually heard of. I'm going to be honest. She is apparently a comedian, but I don't follow comedians. I've got no idea who they are, but I do like a celebrity memoir, even if I've never heard of the person. So that's why this one is on this list. Birding with Benefits is a romance book. This is about a divorcee who is on her year of yes and crosses paths with a shy but sensitive bird watcher who changes her life in this charming rom-com that is perfect for fans of Christina Lauren and Ali Hazelwood. I am a massive fan of Ali Hazelwood, so that's why I put this one on the list. And then we have a fantasy book, the first fantasy book of this video, and that is Mirrored Heavens. This is the third book in the Between the Earth and Sky trilogy, and we've been waiting for ages for this one to come out. Now, I don't think many people are reading it because it's been a long time, and I'm not blaming the author for that at all. I'm sure she has her reasons. I just think maybe we all need to get out and read this book. So the first one was really, really good. I only read the first one. I haven't read the second yet because I was waiting so long for this one, but I'm going to get my hands on the second and hopefully marathon the series. I don't think I'll do a full reread, but I might do depending on how I get on with the second, because I do have the first book on my shelf, so I could easily do a reread before I start the rest of the series. The Road to the Country. This is a historical fiction book set in Africa, specifically Nigeria. It's set in the 1960s and it follows a boy whose younger brother has disappeared during the Civil War. I do love a good historical fiction book, especially historical fiction books set in Africa or Asia, so I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. Service Model. This one I think is already out in the UK, but this is the US edition, which is out in the US. Obviously. Adrian Tchaikovsky writes a lot of science fiction, and this one is following a domesticated robot, and I think they plan on murdering their owner or something, which is quite exciting to me. I really like his writing, and I've seen him at a couple of events recently, and that was fun, so I'm looking forward to reading this one at some point. I have to say I do prefer the UK cover though over this one. Bright and Tender Dark. This one is another thriller book. It is likened to Notes on an Execution, and I have some questions for you, both of which I really, really enjoyed. It's also a debut novel set on a university campus campus, which is very exciting to me anyway. Malice. This is apparently a story full of passion and revenge, and it follows one family living in the Texas-Mexico border, a curse that reverberates through the generations. I love generational stories, so that's why I've put this one on the list. I'm really excited to get to it. This is a very high rating of 4.47, but not many people have read it or rated it. I'm very curious to see how this one gains popularity, potentially. Next, on the 11th of June, we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Like I said earlier, I am a massive Ali Hazelwood fan. It was honestly Bride that really did it for me. Really enjoyed that one. This one I don't think is a paranormal book. She's going back to her STEM romance books. It says here that it's about a forbidden romance, which is really exciting. I don't really read many of those and it's not really my thing, but I'll give it a go because I really enjoy Ali Hazelwood as a writer. Of course, she has her, you know, standard tropes and things that she includes in every single book, but I find it quite amusing at this point. You just don't take it seriously and it's fine. This one, again, is coming out on the 11th of June. The Housemaid is Watching. This is the third book in the Housemaid trilogy, I guess it's called. I haven't read the first one yet, but as I am recording this, I am literally just about to, because it's the pick for my work book club, and I feel like since I voted for it, I should probably try to read it. I have no idea what this series is about. I just know that it's super popular and it's available via Kindle Unlimited, which I have a free trial for currently. So yeah, I'm looking forward to picking it up. I'm going to pick it up, I think, later on tonight. I'm recording this on Sunday and I'm hoping to have finished it by Tuesday, which is when book club is. I'm also in the middle of a couple of other books though, so we'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed for me. The Rom-Commers. This is a contemporary romance comedy sort of thing, I suppose. It says here that the main character, Emma, longs to be a screenwriter. She has spent her life obsessing over romantic comedies, and then Emma moves to LA and then has a rival or something. So all good stuff. It sounds like stuff that I really enjoy. Like I said, I really enjoy reading about famous people, people in LA, and enemies to lovers. Really enjoy that as well. So looking forward to this one. Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I've not enjoyed a few of his books recently, but I've not read The Pallbearers Club, which is his most recent one apart from this. So I'm hoping to do a little marathon of both of these books and hopefully get back into his stuff, because I've really enjoyed some of his stuff in the past. I've given 2 of his books, I think, 4.5 to 5 stars. So I thought he was going to be a favourite author, and then the quality, I thought, in his books just sort of dipped a bit. We'll see if he's back on form with this one. This one, it says, is set in 1993, and it's about a group of young filmmakers who have spent 4 weeks making a horror movie. Only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public. The film has grown a rabid fan base, and then 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big budget reboot. And then I'm guessing things go wrong. It's a horror book, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this one a lot. The Stardust Grail. This is a space opera science fiction kind of thing. This is by the author of The Deep Sky, which I haven't read yet, but I'm dying to. So I'm thinking I might get my hands on both of them and do a little marathon at some point. It says here that it's a thrilling anti-colonial space heist to save an alien civilization. I think that sounds incredible. And again, like I keep saying, I'm really into space and space horror and sci-fi and stuff at the moment. So I think it's becoming my new favorite genre, and therefore I need to really read this book. There is a Door in This Darkness. This is by Kristen Kershaw, who I've read from before. This one does focus on the COVID-19 pandemic, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna love it or pick it up anytime soon, but I've put it on my list because I do really enjoy her as an author. It says that it's a magic-tinged contemporary. The main character is part of the infamous class of 2020. Her high school years began with the election of Donald Trump and ended with COVID. And then it says something about bizarre messages that keep appearing in her life. So I do want to read this one. I just think it's going to be quite difficult to read, so maybe I need to save it for the right time. Then we are on to the 18th of June. We have a book by Riley Sager, who is an author that I have kind of given up on. He was one of my like DNF authors because his books for me have just been like 3 stars and kind of just meh. But I always put his books on the list anyway because the premises sound good and I feel like they might appeal to more people than just me. Not that they appeal to me at all, but you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I figure I will put it on the list and then you guys can decide whether you want to read it. I probably won't unless you tell me that it's amazing. This is his latest thriller book. It says here that a man must contend with the long ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighbourhood. That's all I'm going to read from the synopsis, just in case I do decide to read it. I don't want to be spoiled. The Next Mrs. Parrish. This is the sequel to The Last Mrs. Parrish, which I haven't read yet, so I've no idea what it's about other than it's a mystery thriller, and I do want to read the first book. Yeah, the sequel is coming out. If you didn't know there was a sequel, I didn't either until quite recently, so here we are. The Nature of Disappearing. I have seen this one all over Instagram, so the publishers are doing an amazing job with marketing it. I've already requested this one from my library for when it comes out. It says here that this is a mystery suspense thriller, and it says a wilderness guide must team up with the man who ruined her life years ago when the friend who introduced them goes missing, and it mentions something about a trailer and hashtag van life and a survivalist boyfriend, social media star, all of this stuff that I'm really interested in. I'm really into hiking and like survival thrillers, hiking survival thrillers, I suppose. So that's why this one is on my list. It's why it's on my request list from the library, and I'm dying to read it. I might actually see if it's on NetGalley, but I'm kind of hesitant to use NetGalley much this year because my ratio is appalling and I really need to fix that. Next, we have a fantasy book called Of Jade and Dragons. As you may be able to tell from the title and the cover, I think this is about dragons, which is really exciting. It says here that the 18-year-old main character wants to become a world-class engineer like her father, but after his sudden murder, her life falls apart. So I'm wondering if there's going to be like a murder mystery in there as well, or if she knows who does it. Maybe it's going to be a revenge plot. I'm really not sure, but I'm kind of getting into it, making up my own storyline for it. So I should probably just read it. This probably isn't going to be one that I buy right away, but I'm very much interested in it. We Used to Live Here is another one that I've put on my library request list. This one is said to be Get Out, which I love, meets Parasite, which I also love. It's a haunting debut, and it's also going to be a Netflix movie starring Blake Lively, so it's got all sorts going for it. It's about two homeowners whose lives are turned upside down when the house's previous residents unexpectedly visit. I think this one sounds incredible. This is another one that I've seen all over Instagram, so again, the marketers are doing an incredible job. I wonder if they're the same like group of people. I don't actually know. I'm gonna have to look into it. Whatever they're doing, everyone should do this with their marketing skills. So yeah, really looking forward to reading this one. I'm really into like horror thrillers at the moment, as well as space horror. I really enjoy being a mood reader, guys. There's so many genres out there to explore. Rakesful. This one is a sci-fi debut about two souls bound together from here until the ends of time. It's by the author of The Saint of Bright Doors, which I haven't read, but I really want to. It was on one of my new releases videos last year when it came out, I think. So it says here that some stories take more than one lifetime to tell. There are wrongs that echo through the ages, friendships that outpace the claws of death, loves that leave their mark on civilization, and promises that nothing can break. This is one such story. Love the sound of this one, so I really want to get my hands on this. Again, I feel like I could maybe marathon this author's two books and do a video on both of them, if that's something you guys are interested in. I don't know. The Witchstone. This one is on here because of the cover, because it's really freaking creepy. I think this is like an urban fantasy paranormal kind of thing, and possibly it's meant to be a bit comedic, and I don't do well with like humorous fiction if it's not a rom-com, so I'm a bit hesitant to read this one, but the cover got to me. And then the synopsis says that it's about an 800-year-old demon called Laszlo. Laszlo is hell's least productive curse keeper. And that was kind of enough for me to put it on the list. Not buy it right away, but maybe I'll get it from the library. Also on the 18th, we have Death in the Air. This one, I don't know what the genre is. I think it's like a mystery thriller, crime-ish sort of book, but then it's also likened to Crazy Rich Asians, which is none of those things, so I don't really know. It's maybe going for a locked room Agatha Christie type mystery, maybe with a bit of humour in there as well. It says here that the main character is the American son of Indian parents who has been educated in the finest institutions, something about rich and posh people, and he goes to a world-class spa nestled in the foothills of the Himalayas, and then someone dies there. And yeah, it sounds interesting to me. I love that it's a mystery thriller that's not set in Europe or the US, so I do want to get my hands on this one. Finally, for the 18th, we have The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. She has not been a hit for everyone recently. I really liked her books until The Paris Apartment, and I didn't love that one. However, this one is a locked room murder mystery as well, like the last book. This one's probably set in the UK. And I do really enjoy her writing style. I think it just depends on the setting for me. And The Paris Apartment, I just don't really love books set in France. I don't really care for France as a destination. So yeah, I wasn't too interested in that one. But this one, it could be quite good. It's like an isolated mystery thriller sort of thing. So yeah, I've got this on my list. I'm going to read it at some point. And then we have just three more books. The first one is an adult horror thriller book. It says here that it's a feminist psychological horror about the making of a female serial killer from a Korean American perspective. It's by Monica Kim, who... Have I read anything by Monica Kim before? Or is she just on my like want to read list? No, I haven't read anything by her before. I think I'm getting her confused with someone else. Mainly because of the cover. This cover is reminding me of Baby Teeth and that author's covers because it's very similar. So yeah, anyway, this book, I can't really tell what it's about. Something about an extramarital affair. The main character has horrifying dreams and she's walking through bloody rooms full of eyes. So this one does sound like deep, gross horror. And it's not always my favourite genre, but I'm willing to give it a go. And the cover is kind of intriguing to me, except I really, really hate eye or teeth horror. Anything about eyes or teeth being pulled out or stabbed or like fingertips as well, really can't deal with it. So I think I might save this one for a time where I'm not eating basically, I can't really think of a good time to read this book, but definitely not over dinner. Then we also have Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. Again, this is an author who I'm a bit hit and miss with, but I do really enjoy most of his horror books that I've read anyway. I've not read all of them. It says here that it's about a haunting from the perspective of a young girl whose troubled family is targeted by an entity she calls Other Mummy. And that sounds absolutely horrific, and it sounds a little bit like Coraline, which is a film that really stuck with me and shaped me as a person when I was a kid. So yeah, this sounds horrifying and I can't wait to read it. And then the final book of this video is the last book, I think, in a series that I haven't actually read, but I wanted to put it on here because I just wanted to state my intentions for starting this series. I would just like you all to know. And this book is called The Mist Thief, and it's the third book in the Everseas series, which is a pirate fantasy romance. I have the first book from Kindle Unlimited, haven't read it yet, but I would really like to. So those are all the books that I am keeping an eye on in June. If you would like me to read any of these in particular, let me know. Tell me which ones you're most interested in, because again, would love to know. I would love to gather some opinions. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.